So this video is for nurse anesthesia specifically, but this is actually an overview of how to run off of the IV pump. We're using anesthesia as our example today because you're setting up for a procedure that's utilizing the pump for an anesthesia scenario. So the things we need to do this are, in this case, Propofol, the drug that we're going to be running through the pump, the pump tubing, and the trash can, which we're going to use when we're priming the pump. So, unlike a lot of the IV fluids, Propofol is an emulsion that's a little bit thicker. The simulated version is also. So, some of what we're going to talk about today is how to run a thicker fluid. There's a couple extra steps. So let's get started. I've pulled out both the packaged version of Propofol as well as a version that we're actually going to use, which is the setup of the two items that are in here. When we're running Propofol from the vial, it's going to hang like this. So just make sure before you turn it over you have secured it properly, and it looks like this in its ready state. All right, so now we're ready to prime our tubing, right? So we're going to pop off our cap. The couple things you want to do to prepare your IV tubing: it comes unclamped. Clamp it. We want to control the flow and start and stop it when we're ready. So that's the first thing. Also, this plastic piece is to protect the most soft part of the IV tubing. We're done with this. So we've got a little wad of trash forming here. Now we're ready to spike. And with our clamped tubing, we are ready to move over to our hole. Take note that your dosage is 1,000 milligrams per 100 mLs. This is actually the preset as well. So that's a nice little fast track that the pump is already programmed for this specific vial and dose concentration. Right now we're going to prime the tubing. Again, we're talking about a thick emulsion. I still have the tubing clamped. I'm going to run it into the trash can. Prime the chamber by squeezing. The additional step you take with a thick fluid, there's an air valve. I always forget this step, but you have to open it, and that is going to make your life and the lives of your anesthetists easier. So now I'm going to open the clamp, and we're just gonna let this run to push out all the air. And once that's through, clamp it. Go ahead and zoom in here. So that little part that was protected with that sheath goes into the pump, right? We've already primed it, so there's already plenty of Propofol in there, which hopefully will reduce the alarming that tells us that there's air bubbles. That's why we primed, right? So we're gonna clamp it into place. Turn on our system and attach the IV. So now the rest of this is just about setting up your pump. When you turn the pump on, it's going to ask you if it's a new patient, or if you're running this case for more than one day, you would actually say no, so you don't have to do any of these steps. We're doing this for the first time, so we're going to say yes, this is a new patient. We're going to say yes, we're in the ICU. This next part is about putting the patient's name in. It's tedious. We're going to skip it by hitting exit. We're going to jump to setting our pump. As you can see, at this station there's an A and a B. Sometimes there's only one pump attached to these. If there's multiple pumps, you need to select the pump you're going to use. Use your channel select. You have a choice of guardrails, drugs, fluids, or basic infusion, where you don't need to put in what kind of drug you're using, but you have to come up with a calculation in that place. So that's a whole other bag of worms. Propofol is a program drug in this formulary, so we're going to go to guardrails, drugs. Along the side is a way to quickly move through the alphabet. We're going to go P through T, find Propofol. It's going to ask you if it's 1,000 milligrams and 100 ml, which, as we've already talked about, it is. So we're going to say yes. So this is a clinical advisory because this is treating this as real. We're just going to confirm. One key piece of information you need to know before you can continue is your patient's weight. In our case, our patient is 95 kilograms. And it's going to use that information to create its calculation. We're going to go to dose and tell it we want 75 micrograms per kilogram. With that, it comes up with the rate. The thing it doesn't know is how much volume we have and how much we want to run. We want to run this thing all the way down, and I can see that we've probably already used about I'd say probably about 40 mLs. So we're just going to tell it 50, so we can leave about 10 mLs in and make sure we don't run any air through the patient. So we're going to go to volume to be infused, hit 40. I did say 50, but we'll do 40. Hit start. That will run the fluid. Anesthesia has a couple additional settings that they like that we're also going to work into this training. Now that you have your fluid running, go ahead and go into options, and don't worry about the beeping, it happens. We're just going to ignore that for now. You're going to go to anesthesia mode, enable anesthesia mode, and then go to change and set your air detection to the highest number of microliters, which is 500 in our case, and then confirm. The second thing you're going to do is turn your volume all the way down by going to audio adjust and making sure it's at its softest. At this point, you can try and fix this by running more fluid, or you can take the easy way out. You've done quite a lot of work. You can just hit pause in anesthesia mode. This can stay paused as long as forever, and it won't beep. And at this point, we can just pull in somebody more expert to fix the problem we're having with the pump. There you go.